good of a job is this in Dallas?
Skip, this is a rarity. I can't recall a head coach stepping down with a superstar talent on his roster.
Okay.
Skip, you dream of getting these jobs. A lot of times coaches get these jobs and you in a desert, you're in a wasteland. You don't have these guys. He has a 22-year-old superstar. The guy is a two-time first-team All-NBA player, and he's 22 years of age. And he says, you know what? Now, Skip, I read what a lot of other people read, that there's a former gambler who turned analytics guy, who has the ear of the owner, Mark Cuban, who's alienated a lot of people in the building, kind of like what Howie Roseman did with Jeffrey Lurie. Howie Roseman is the general manager. He got in the ear of Jeffrey Lurie, alienated a lot of people in the building. And we also heard there was a couple of little rumblings between Luka and Coach Carlisle. I remember the game in which Coach Carlisle was out. I don't know the reason, but they were playing the Knicks. And Jamal Mosley, who was his assistant coach, they won. And they asked Luka, and Luka said, for sure, he has what it takes to be a head coach. On the way out, Rick Carlisle thanked a lot of people. He didn't mention Luka, unless I read it wrong, Skip. Maybe I didn't read all of it in its entirety. Maybe they just gave me, offered me a summation of what he actually said. There's a lot of things that's going on here. Coaches don't normally walk away with 2 years left on their contract if they're coaching a superstar. So, but to answer Jenny's question, Skip, this is an 8. Now, I would like it to be a 9 or 10 if they didn't have Porzingis on the roster. If they didn't have Porzingis on the roster, I said it would have been a 9. But they got him on the roster, and good luck trying to unload that contract. Because who wants a 7'3" guy making $30+ million a year, Skip, and all he wants to do is shoot threes? And he's hurt 25, 30 games every single year. So for me, this is an 8 job. It is a rarity that an opportunity like this where the coach steps down. Now, we've seen situations where coaches get fired, but for a coach with 2 years left, Skip, says, nah, I'm good. And he says, I look forward to other coaching opportunities. Mm-hmm. So, Skip, it's like, I ain't tired of coaching. I'm just tired of coaching here. I'm up out of here. And Skip, before I turn it over to you, and what did he say, Skip? This was my decision. You know, a lot of times, Skip, they agree to mutually part ways. That's a part thing of the word, Skip. Somebody got fired. He's like, no, I ain't get fired. I walked away, and I look forward to my other coaching opportunities. There's a lot of, Mark Cuban's he's a good PR guy, Skip. He can spend a lot of things. He ain't spending this one. He can't spend this one. There ain't no smoke. They fire here.
Okay, back to Jenny's question. I cannot tell you how much I disagree with every point you just made. This job for me would be a 2 on a scale of 1 to 10 because it could be and probably would be nightmarish from day one forward. You are having to work under Mark Cuban and trying to handle Luka Doncic. Nightmare. I think it's a can't win for the coach, and I would put quotes around that term coach because I don't think you would have much say-so at all over what Luka does or definitely over what Mark Cuban does.
But no coach has say over superstar, Skip. That's always been the case.
But this is even worse. And I know Rick Carlisle, and I love Rick Carlisle. He can coach.
Yes.
He was the greatest thing that ever happened to Mark Cuban. He put Mark Cuban on the map. He won in spite of Mark Cuban. And when they broke through, they got a big assist from your man LeBron James, obviously, in 2011. But he coached that team with Dirk and Jason Kidd through those playoffs, through those big series, and through that finals in which they were down 2-1 to obviously the Miami Heat of LeBron and D. Wade. And they roared back and won it in 6. And he's always been a very good coach. And Cuban has always said, you better be careful about firing a coach unless you have a better alternative on the horizon somewhere because the grass is not always greener. Well, I don't believe he fired Rick Carlisle. And I do believe that Rick finally said, I just can't take this anymore. And to your point, I don't know the inner workings of that franchise. I used to cover the Mavericks back in the day, but he did hire a former professional gambler to be his quantitative research director, whatever that means. And more, that guy is having say. And finally, it took, they had to remove Donnie Nelson from it. And Donnie's been there for 24 years. Correct. As the GM of the team. Mark Cuban's really the GM. But I found it very telling that right after the Game 7 loss to the Clippers, Rick Carlisle was asked, do you feel like your job's in jeopardy? And he said, well, that's not my say. Why don't you text Mark and ask him? Because it was a little between the line shot, because all those beat writers, all those media types, they're able to text Mark Cuban and go back and forth with him because he is a media maven. He is in the spotlight. There are many days, to me, that Mark Cuban makes Jerry Jones look like a hands-off wallflower. Seriously. Mark Cuban is front and centerpiece. He sits in the front row at the games. He travels to all the away games. He owns and operates the Dallas Mavericks. So right away, you're up against it as a coach, which brings me to Luka. I think he's overrated. You love him because you've latched onto him as baby bird. I call him baby sparrow. I just don't love what I see. I don't think he's good enough to be the diva that he can be. I don't think he's valuable enough to act the way he acts. And remember, Cuban called him out day one this year. He said, well, he came in a little overweight and out of shape. And he did. He was the MVP favorite before the year started, and he came in fat and out of shape. That was the truth. So,
but Skip,
go ahead.
But here's the thing, though, Skip. You know how this works with superstars. And today's superstars, you have to cater even more. Now, we're hearing the story coming out of New Orleans. What are we hearing coming out of New Orleans, Skip? What's going on with their superstar? So what we're seeing is that superstars were always catered to, and you always made concessions. And normally you ran things by them. Okay, when you hire a coach, okay, what you thinking, Magic? What you thinking, Larry? You hired GM, you ran that by them. Now these young guys, Skip, who's always been catered to, because the older guys weren't catered to like that. They had hard, they got coached tough. They got coached hard. Well, Skip, you can't coach a kid hard now, because guess what? He'll pick up and he'll go play on somebody else's AAU team. And you don't want that to happen. If I got an opportunity, I'm coaching Jason Tatum or Brandon Ingram or LeBron James. Okay. I'm going to get whatever they want. So you better cater to them, Skip, or else.
All right. Just for the record, your man Luka is a career 33% three-point shooter. This year, he improved slightly to 35%. That ranked 123rd in the NBA of 155 qualified three-point shooters. Free throws. Luka is, let's just do last year, he shot 73%. That ranked 87th of 110 qualified. So he's like LeBron. He's not much of a shooter. He was second this year, was Luka, in turnovers to Russell Westbrook. Yet he led the league in usage rate at 43.4%, which was a wide margin over Trae Young. So he's going to have the ball in his hands way more than anybody does, which leads me to your guy Porzingis, your lightning rod to the playoffs, your target. And Porzingis averaged 20 and 9 in the regular season because he got 16 shots a game. Well, in the postseason, his shots fell all the way down to just 10 shots because he mostly had to go stand in the corner and watch Luka dribble. And so his playoff averages fell to 13 and 5. So from 20 and 9 in the regular season to 13 and 5 because Luka, just living up to your hype, just dribbled the air out of the basketball and shot it. And by the way, in those fourth quarters of those 7 playoff games against the Clippers, he shot 5 of 18 from 3. It's just not good enough. He shot 5 of 10 from the free throw line. Not good enough. And you're telling me he deserves to be the diva of the franchise? I'm just not so sure about that.
You know what, Skip Bayless? You like numbers. There's 30 NBA teams. There's 15 players per team. That's 450 players in the NBA. Only 5 of them made first team All-NBA. Luka Doncic was one of them. Now, you can give me that 73% all you want. You can give me that 35% all you want. But Luka Doncic, of the 450 players in the NBA, he's one of 5 that made first-team All-NBA. So let me ask you another question. You said that Porzingis, his shots, his point total went down. So did Luka PER go up in the playoffs, or was it the exact same? Because it looked to me, Luka averages went up across the board. Points, rebounds, and assists, and Porzingis, because of the moment, everything he did went down.
Well,
so
it's because one guy had the ball and the other guy no longer had the ball.
Luka always had the ball. Luka's always had the ball. Nothing's changed. And you understand that when you play with other great players, Skip, you play around them, you play off of them, especially when he's the guard and he handles the ball. Luka Doncic is legit. And somebody's going to be very, very fortunate to get an opportunity to manage. I don't know how much you're going to get an opportunity to coach, Skip. It's going to be more like a manage, more like you're in co-partnership.
Okay, there you go. All I know about Luka is in that fateful turnaround Game 3 at Dallas that Friday night against the Clippers when they went up 30-11 and blew it up 2-0 in the series. All of a sudden, I look over in the fourth quarter, and Luka's on the bench with a big ice pack or heat, I don't know what it was, on his shoulder. And I'm like, where'd that come from? Message sent. Prop. He's got to go to the bench and say, I'm hurt. That's why we're losing. That's what the coach is going to have to deal with. And again, somebody will take this job, but I wouldn't want it because I don't think you'll last very long. And Rick Carlisle will come back to haunt Mark Cuban and Luka Doncic because there are a bunch of job openings. Speaking of the Pelicans, I think he'd be a great fit. Obviously, he played for the Celtics, so he would be a great fit there. I know they just got rid of Kemba Walker. I think that would be a good thing. And Portland's still sitting there, so he's got options, and he knew he had options, which is why he said, I've had enough.
But let me ask you a question. Will you last longer coaching a superstar or not? Because all I know is guys that don't get an opportunity to coach superstars, they normally coach 1 to 2 years. Guys that coach superstars, they last a long period of time. Look at Terry Stotts. How long did he last? Because he had superstars. When you get superstars, you get an opportunity because those guys give you an opportunity to win ball games. You can be the greatest coach in the world, but if you ain't coaching superstars, you ain't winning jack.
Okay, but if you coach this superstar and you flame out in the first round of the playoffs again next year, you'll probably be gone. Somebody's got to take the fall.
But let me ask you a question, Skip. Were they favored? Should they, I mean, you make it seem like Luka was the 1 seed and he got beat by the 8, or he's the 2 seed and got beat by the 7. He's never been the favorite. He lost in a 3-6 matchup. He lost in a 4-5 matchup. But don't pretend.
Okay, wait a second. I'm not the one who calls him Baby Bird, as in Larry Bird. So, yeah, he was favored because of what you put on his head. You called him the next Larry Bird. So, yeah, he's the favorite in my book.
Yeah, and Bird lost when Magic and Kareem, James Worthy went bonkers on him. He got 2 guys going bonkers, and it's me by myself because you told me I got a 7'3" unicorn. Yeah, he is a unicorn. Because you know why they call him a unicorn? Because unicorns really don't exist. And neither does Porzingis when it comes into playoff time.
Yeah, that's definitely true there. I'm curious how quickly Dallas will make a decision here.
Thank you for watching. You can subscribe here to get the latest from the show, and be sure to check out more of the best clips from Undisputed, or go watch a few other segments from our other shows on FS1.